I'm Mary Dillinger from Northern Arizona VA Healthcare System, and this is the Veterans Views and News. And I have with me today Paul Flack from our voluntary service at the VA. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Mary. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming. Voluntary service does so many things at the hospital, and we just want to educate the community, try to get them more involved. Do you know how many volunteers you currently have approximately?
We currently have over 450 volunteers, and that's both at our main medical center here in Prescott, and then we also have volunteers out at our C-Box, our clinics located in Lake Havasu, Kingman, Flagstaff, etc.
That is really great. That's a really good number of volunteers.
It is, but we can always use more volunteers. Our volunteers last year performed over 80,000 hours of volunteer time at our hospital.
Wow.
So basically, as the medical center director would say, we can't operate without volunteers. They provide so much.
That is a lot of work, and I have volunteers that help me, and I see the volunteers throughout the medical center, and they are everywhere from patient escort. There's even some that help out in the pharmacy and lab. There's so many different areas for the volunteer. Are there specific areas that you could use more?
Well, we can always use more volunteers in our escort. Escort transports veterans throughout the facility, whether they're in wheelchairs, gurneys. They also transport lab samples. It's absolutely critical for volunteers that we have down in the emergency room to run lab samples and veterans out to tests within the hospital, such as X-ray, etc. Disabled American Veterans operates a volunteer transportation network that transports veterans both into the hospital here in Prescott, but also from our clinics in our rural areas into Prescott, and also all the way down to Phoenix. So without them, many veterans would not be able to make their appointments. So it's a great volunteer opportunity. You get instant feedback from the veterans you're transporting. And it's really an enjoyable volunteer opportunity for anyone that would be interested.
What are the requirements for somebody who wants to volunteer as a DAV driver?
So DAV drivers have a few more requirements than a normal volunteer. We obviously would need copies of driver's license and their vehicle insurance. They also have to take a physical, which is performed by our occupational health employee. We get a driving record for the last 3 years, just to make sure that they have a clean driving record. And then they have some additional training, safety videos, etc., on operating a van safely. So, an extra 4 or 5 extra hours as opposed to a regular volunteer. But it goes very quickly, and they're a top priority for me. So
and it's necessary.
It is necessary. It's a nationwide requirement. So DAV operates all across the United States at VAs. Northern Arizona happens to be one of the largest physical areas that's covered by DAV in the country. I believe we're 68,000.
We were over 65,000 square miles. Yes.
And so, like I said, these rural areas without DAV, many of these veterans would not be able to make these long distance journeys by themselves. So, great volunteer opportunity and great organization also.
So if we do have someone who would like to volunteer, whether it's at DAV or at the patient escort, what's the process? What do they need to do?
So the first thing probably would be just to call us, and our direct number, which will be answered by a live human being, probably a volunteer, is 928-776-6013. And they can call us. I can talk to them, give them, answer their questions. And then the next step would be they'd come in and pick up an application at our offices. We're located in the theater building, building 15 on the campus. We're next to the canteen, which most people know where that is.
Yes, they do.
And they'll fill out the application. They'll set up a time. They'll call back and set up a time to get fingerprinted. All of our volunteers go through a background check, both drivers and volunteers in the hospital. It's a nationwide requirement. It's for the safety and protection of our veterans.
Makes sense.
So the background check is done on station. They get their fingerprints taken. They bring in 2 forms of government ID. Takes a couple weeks to get the fingerprints back. Once those come back, then we schedule an orientation for them. The orientation lasts about 3 hours. They'll get a TB test, and then they'll receive information, safety information regarding volunteering at the hospital. Once they've completed the orientation, we'll get them a new polo shirt,
Yes, they
which
wear
they
the
get
nice
to
blue
wear.
polo shirts, yes.
It identifies them to staff and to the veterans, so they know that they can go to a volunteer with any questions if they're lost, etc. And we'll get them a badge, and then we'll put them to work volunteering. My experience is that the volunteers we have here in Prescott are some of the best in the country. They're dedicated, they're patriotic. They do not need to be a veteran. In fact, the non-veterans, it's even more special to have them volunteering because they're wholly giving back, selflessly just to serve our veterans. And it's something that garners great respect from our staff.
Yes, I can speak from personal experience. Our volunteers are amazing. They really are dedicated. They're always willing. I know they range from anywhere from like age 13 to 90 something.
14 to, yeah,
And in
we
their
actually
90s,
have
I've
some
seen.
up in the 90s. Probably over 25 that are in their 80s that are volunteering actively, moving around to the hospital. Sometimes their assignment might be to sit at the information desk to give information.
How are the assignments? Do they get to choose where they volunteer?
We try and work together. We provide them a list of volunteer opportunities, say 20 or so different positions that they could use. And we try and find one that matches their interests and their physical capabilities with the needs of the hospital. So generally, they choose what they want to do, and as long as they're a good fit for that position, that's where they get to volunteer. And it makes everybody happy. They're happy doing what they're doing, and we're happy because they're happy.
And is there a certain amount of hours that they have to volunteer, or can they say, I can only volunteer 1 hour a week? Or
It depends on the assignment. Typically, most assignments, we're looking for a 4-hour commitment once a week. So like a morning or an afternoon shift. Okay. One of our areas, the emergency department, has opportunities for people to volunteer in the evenings and the weekends.
That's probably when it's busy and they could really use the extra
yes.
help with the transport that you were
They do,
talking about.
and the volunteers that work in the emergency department are some of the happiest volunteers I have, because the emergency department staff bring the volunteers in as part of the team, and it's a team effort every day in the emergency department. So evenings and weekends, they can always use more volunteers.
And if you're a volunteer and you do at least 4 hours, you get a free lunch.
Free meal, that's
Yes,
right.
it's
You're volunteering, so we can't compensate you monetarily, but we can give you a free lunch, and the food's not bad from what they tell me.
No, I heard the volunteers say many good things, and then we also have so many different events with the community, and there's volunteers I know that help out, like at the stand down.
The POW MIA.
The POW MIA Day, we have volunteers that help with different events and activities we have, and those veterans seem so happy to be a part of that. And I've personally witnessed and experienced, them willing to just, what do you need? How can I help? I'm here. And they're doing it truly by helping. They really just want to help. They don't want
Some of them don't want recognition or anything.
They
just want to give back for the veterans that serve their country.
And then I've spoken to some people who they can't volunteer because of medical reasons, different reasons, and they've asked me when I've been out different places, they said, well, how can I help? I'd like to donate. So I know that voluntary service operates mostly off of donation.
That's correct, Mary. We all donations at the facility come through voluntary service. So we'll document donations, monetary donations, and physical donations. You can get a tax relief from that. Put that on your taxes if you're donating some money to us. And then we work with the departments to spend the donated money in the most proper way that serves veterans in our community. The monies that are donated to this VA in Prescott stay in northern Arizona. It doesn't go to Phoenix, doesn't go to Tucson,
Stays
doesn't
locally.
go to New York.
That's good. It's good to know it
only
stays
spent
locally.
And I know that's a comfort for people when they hear that. So, we work with programs such as the MOVE program, the homeless program. We provide exercise equipment,
The
art
guitars
supplies.
for vets.
Guitars for
That's
Vets
another good
is a
one.
wonderful program.
And I know there's another one, Heroes.
Right, it's a brand new program that's going to be about bicycling, and so we've received a donation of a handful of bikes from this national organization, brand new Trek bikes, including 2 recumbent bikes, and they've started a program where they're opening it up to veterans to come in and go do rides here in town. For a combined effort for a whole health type aspect where they're looking to try and improve healthy activities, but also for positive mental health experience to be out biking with other veterans.
Camaraderie,
Yes,
coming
yes.
together.
Right, so they've just started it, and if someone's interested, they can contact us in Voluntary Service, and we will direct them towards that program.
Well, that is just so great. I mean, between the donations and all the volunteers, I know Voluntary Service is really busy. And the shuttles,
Right.
I know that we already had volunteers with the shuttles, and then after the construction, we needed to hire some more shuttle drivers. But the volunteers are still steadily there, helping out, even though there are other
Right.
paid employees driving. Our shuttle drivers are still dedicated, still doing it, and I just think it's so great.
Yeah, well, we have a challenge with parking right now because of some great construction projects we have going on that we lost some more parking. So we have 8 passenger golf carts that travel around the campus, constantly picking people up. If someone needs to be picked up, they can call us at 776-6013, and we will come pick you up at your car if you have mobility problems. All you have to do is call us, and we'll dispatch them directly to you.
That is true dedication, and I'm sure our veterans really do appreciate
They do.
how voluntary service goes above and beyond. And I just want to say thank you for everything that you do.
Thanks.
And hopefully you'll get more volunteers
Okay.
and more donations,
Yep.
and then we'll have you on the show again so we can talk about upcoming events and different activities. Thank you for coming
Great.
on.
Thanks for having me, Mary. Okay.
Well, thank you again for being on the show, Paul. We really do appreciate it. And we'll be back in a moment with Michelle Stacy-Schroeder, and we're going to discuss the Veterans Day Parade. And we're back, and I have Michelle Stacy-Schroeder with me, and we are going to talk about the upcoming Veterans Day Parade.
Good morning, Mary. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Michelle?
I'm doing great. Just waiting for this parade.
I know it's this time of year.
Exciting.
It's exciting.
Yes.
And getting everything together and coordinated and seeing how the city comes together and the community, and it is great. And
Yeah, and I can't thank the VA enough for their partnership in this parade, and it's been great working with you on every step of the way, and our committee that we've got together that helps put this parade on. It's such a great cohesive unit. That
it is. We do have a really great
It
group.
really makes the parade when it comes run very smooth.
Well, I just have to say, you have to give yourself credit for that. I think that one of the reasons that the group runs so well and that we get everything together is because when you lead us and it goes so well, but you let us know what you need. You're good about it without being pushy, and I think that that's what we need. We need someone who lets us know exactly what you need, when you need it, and that is one of the reasons why the parade, I think, gets better and better each year.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
How many entries are we looking at this year?
Right now we have 85, which is just 2 lower than last year, so it's still going to be a great day.
Oh, I'm sure.
Hopefully the weather stays away and it's really nice. So
It's all of us talk to Mother Nature, ask her to, keep the weather nice. I do know that I tell our veterans, make sure they bring sweaters, and we try to, because in the morning when we're lining up, that's when it's still a little chilly.
Right, yeah. You want to dress in layers. so that if it gets too hot, you can strip down a little bit.
Exactly. Because it does usually happen in the morning when you're standing there at your staging area, you're waiting. One, you're standing, so you're not doing a lot, so it's a
Right.
little chillier. And once the parade starts at 11, everybody's walking, you start walking, you realize, oh, I'm getting kind of warm.
Right. So,
But I'm excited because we have 3 entries as like we normally do.
the VA does, yes.
We do, and I've talked to some other people about their entries, and some people are really excited about the Corvettes for the Grand Marshals we have.
Right.
Some of the Grand Marshals we have, I know, are so excited. I've personally spoken to them.
Yes, they are very, very excited, very honored, very humbled.
Well, this year, the whole Hometown Heroes
Yes.
did not realize how many veterans we have here that were born and raised in Prescott and live in Prescott still. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's several. It's hard to pin it down to just a few. You know, Veterans Day is about honoring all veterans.
Yes, it is.
And trying to find a grand marshal, it's a little difficult. But I think we have a great selection. We've got different branches of the service. We have 2 Army, we have Navy female, and we have Air Force. So, you know, it's kind of similar to last year where we tried to have one from each branch, and we did. But this year, like you said, trying to find, you know, locally born, raised veterans there's a lot, but trying to pinpoint them down and figuring out which ones we were going to have was difficult. There's too many to choose from.
I try to explain that to people because some people say, oh, wouldn't they be excited? I said a lot of veterans, they really don't want to be recognized that way. They feel the spotlight on them and they don't like that.
Right.
So
It's a little overwhelming for them.
But our Grand Marshals, I'm excited because I found out that our Navy female veteran is the aunt to our Air Force
Right.
Grand Marshal. Like, so it just kind of shows that, you know, Prescott is.
Well, and they had several members of their family join the military.
Yes,
And
she did
so-
mention that to me. She said that he is the only Air Force, so they pick on him, she said.
Right. Yeah, I get that a lot. I was the only female in my family to join the military.
So was I. We
So
both
it was-
joined the Army.
Right,
Because my
Army.
family didn't want me to. I'm the only one who joined the military, and they wanted me to join the Air Force, actually.
Yeah, I had an uncle who was a colonel, and when I got out and talked about my time in the military and the differences between Army bases and Air Force bases, because I did a lot of training on Air Force bases while I was in the Army, he told me, he said, well, I tried to talk you into it before you went in. So
It is.
know.
It is. I mean, all the branches are different, but I love that for Veterans Day we all kind of come together, and we might pick on different branches amongst ourselves, but
Right.
when you come together for something like the Veterans Day Parade, and you really get to see how many veterans there are and how supportive the community is.
Right. Well, one thing I found about this year's entries is we have a lot more commercial entries this year. And that's really great. You know, we have the typical VFW, the American Legion, the Veteran Service Organizations, the VA, the schools. But we've got a lot of commercial entries, a lot of more motorized entries, people with military type vehicles that want to come in and just you know show their support of veterans and be involved. So it's been really, really great.
I think that that's also one of the reasons why our parade is so great, because the community, they
Right.
come together, they do that. I mean, we may not have larger number of entries, but I'm willing to bet the parade's probably going to be larger in
Right.
that more people will come support that particular group and walk with them or go on that float or
Right.
join those vehicles, and we have everything from people walking to people in cars from the 50s to the horses.
Yep.
It's so diverse in what we have, and it's so great.
It's not going to be as big as the 4th of July or rodeo parade, but it's getting up there. And I think being that the city kind of helped to take it over in 2013 from the VA, as you know, I mean,
got
you're
too
there,
large.
You're there every day.
It got too large, and I've had some people that were upset, and they said, "Why did you move it?" I said, "It got too large. It's a good thing." I said,
Right.
the VA could not contain the parade because
It got
the
so
campus is
popular.
only how big. We couldn't even,
Right.
the entries would go from the front gate through the whole campus and
Well,
not be
I
able to walk.
remember, I remember in 2010 when I had to park over at Yavapai College and walk to the campus because of the parking and everything. So I think that the partnership between the city and the VA has helped the Veterans Day Parade to grow, and it's
Exactly.
getting bigger and bigger every year. Like last year, we had a few more entries than the year before, and the year before that. So
We have
it's
more of our veterans. We have our community living center veterans,
right.
and we have a van that can bring them over. And we had a handful each year, but it seems each year we get more of them
Right.
coming in, more of the veterans saying, I want to. And you guys are great with providing the tents so the veterans can sit, stay warm, and watch. And now we have even more veterans that are saying, well, I'd like to be in the parade, can I? So we have volunteers who help us
Correct. We
push the
do.
veterans in the wheelchairs so they can be a part of the parade. So it grows in different ways each year. And I think that is something that shows, it attributes to how much support and how great the parade is, because
Right.
everybody seems to get involved. Everybody's heard of it. Everybody has either watched it on this channel on
Right, yeah.
because it is streamed live, or they've actually been downtown and they've got to see it firsthand. And we have all the volunteers from the Girl Scouts who give out the flags, to the color guard, the
Yep.
speakers, everybody. It's all volunteering. It's all everybody
Yep.
volunteering their
Everybody
time.
just comes together.
It is so amazing. I love that, to live in Prescott and to witness it firsthand.
So should we talk about some specifics?
Yes, I'd like people to know when it is and everything.
Okay.
Yes.
So the Veterans Day Parade is on Saturday, November 10th. Veterans Day is actually Sunday, November 11th, which we thought may have been an issue. There's a couple reasons why we moved it to the 10th instead of the 11th. The 11th is a Sunday. The parade is downtown. There's several churches in that area. To be able to close down the streets was a little bit cumbersome.
I think people don't realize the staging,
Right.
how much of a range
Right.
from the courthouse the staging goes out.
Right. And so not only the street closure issue that we were running into, but there's a lot of church services elsewhere in the community that happen at 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock. So we wanted to get as many people that wanted to participate to be able to get there in time, and spectators. We wanted,
You didn't want them to have to choose between the
right.
two.
Do I go to church? Do I go to the parade? We didn't want people to have to choose that. So we did choose to have it on Saturday, November 10th.
Which is also the Marine Corps' birthday.
The Marine Corps birthday, hua, excuse me.
Yes, they don't say hula like us.
Right, right. So we have an opening ceremony that starts at 10:30. That'll be on the main stage at the intersection of Cortez and Union Street. The opening ceremony, it doesn't take that long. We do a couple opening remarks. We have the mayor of Prescott, somebody from the VA. We have Chancellor Ayers from Embry-Riddle. We have the national anthem, posting of the colors. This year we're adding a special touch. For those that aren't aware, the theme for this year is honoring hometown heroes, with a special remembrance to World War I. 2018 marks
It is.
the
It's
100th
anniversary. Yes, it is.
And so during our opening ceremonies, we are going to bring attention and pay tribute to 31 Yavapai County servicemen who went off and fought in World War I and died in service.
So to honor their memory.
Right. So we'll be announcing their names and a special ringing of the bell. That'll be part of our opening ceremony. So that's at 10:30. And then the parade will start at 11. It'll come from Willis on Cortez Street. So we'll be heading south on Cortez Street, and then west on Goodwin, and then north on Montezuma. So just around the courthouse square, that's prime seating, down Cortez, down Montezuma, on Goodwin. Get there early. There's going to be some traffic control changes, so people need to be aware of that. They can go on to the City of Prescott website and see the traffic restrictions, which is prescott-az.gov, and they want to click on Recreation Services and Special Events, and there's a special box for street closures. And you'll be able to see the map of the streets that are closed. And then you can actually click on the actual map, and it shows you where the staging area is and then where the parade route is. There's different colors.
Where would you recommend people try to park, and how early would you recommend that they get there?
Well, since the opening ceremony starts at 10:30, I would say getting there between 9 and 9:30 to get a good seat is probably good, depending on the weather. The staging area actually goes from Gurley to Sheldon, and that's on Cortez, Marina, Alarcon, Pleasant, and Virginia. So those streets will be blocked off for the staging area for the parade participants. However, on the south side of Gurley Street, all of those streets will be open. So
Basically past Whiskey Row.
right, past Whiskey Row, by the library, there's the parking garage on Granite Street that'll be open. There's also the county parking garage, which is on Marina.
Yes.
All up there. So there's plenty of areas to park downtown. It's just a matter of how early you want to get there to get your good seat and how far away do you want to park. A lot of times we get participants that park over in the Sprouts parking lot, and then they walk over.
Oh, okay. Like where Walgreens and all that.
Right,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
They'll park over there and then walk over. So there's ample parking.
And are there going to be T-shirts that people can purchase if they would like?
So this year, one of the things we added into the participation application was the opportunity to purchase parade T-shirts. We have a committee, and everybody on the committee will be wearing the shirts. But we thought we would offer it to the participants so that they would be able to, participate in that aspect and have a T-shirt from the parade. Those were all pre-ordered. And so those that pre-ordered them will have them the day of the parade. We will have a few extras. And if people are interested in purchasing after the fact, we will have that available. We'll have information at the check-in tent where the parade entries or participants
By
go
the
in.
Social Security
Right,
building?
on Marina
Okay.
Street, Marina and Willis by the Social Security office. We'll have some information there if they want to buy some T-shirts after the fact. And we will have a few of the extras for sale there during the check-in process. But for anybody else that's watching and would like to buy a T-shirt, feel free to contact me at work, which is 928-777-1552. I work for City of Prescott Recreation Services in the old Armory building. So we'll be able to put in another order if we need to for shirts.
Well, that is great. I appreciate you coming on the show. And,
Thank you for having me.
Like I said, I love working with you, and I'm so excited for the parade.
It's been really, really great working with you. It's a great partnership, and I'm super excited for the parade myself. So
just one last time, remember everybody, it is on November 10th. Opening ceremonies begin at 10:30, and the parade begins at 11 a.m. Thank you for watching.